This week's episode is sponsored by everyone's favorite real estate closing attorney, the Hawes Law Firm.
With locations in Suwanee, Tucker, South Atlanta, and offering mobile closings, the Hawes Law Firm can accommodate all of your residential and commercial real estate needs.
Their full legal staff and knowledgeable attorneys set the tone for all of our clients' luxury closing day experiences.
If you're looking for a preferred closing attorney that is flexible, mobile, knowledgeable, and creates a one-of-a-kind experience, make sure you put the Hawes Law Firm on your next contract.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk Atlanta. We are your hosts, Taisha Renee.
I'm Ashley LeRae.
River the Realtor.
And Nika W.
And we're back with another one.
Thank you.
Back with my favorite girls.
Period. What's going on, ladies? Before we jump into the episode, this episode, since it's getting so close to the holidays, like, what do y'all have planned? Do y'all have anything planned with your loved ones, family, friends?
I have the smallest family. Like, every holiday, it's just me, my mom, and my brother.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it's just very intimate.
Wow, I have so many people.
Your birthday? We have some Sag and Capricorn.
2 birthdays coming up.
Yeah.
Coming up.
But you can't even get there until you come through Sagittarius season. So
But don't forget.
Jesus was a
Capricorn. When you say that, it literally pisses me off.
Don't forget. Everybody else can have a seat, unless y'all got something to say about Jesus.
No,
I love y'all's birthdays.
Yeah, I am. Thanksgiving, my godson. Hey, Kim. He'll be 8. So I always go home for his birthday because on Thanksgiving. So I'll be home for that. But Christmas, I'm vibing in my new home.
Period.
Oh, that's right. Are we invited?
You guys, of course, are invited.
Where's the housewarming party?
Oh, child.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say that keeps getting pushed back.
Like my clothes.
Yeah, I was going to have a booze housewarming for Halloween. But since Halloween is 2 days from today, I'll come up with something like turkey and turnip.
I'm dead.
Whatever happened to a simple Friendsgiving?
Oh my God.
Yeah, for me, I'm going on a cruise
Ooh.
for 10 days.
I would be so
You're
scared.
leaving
I'm
us.
scared of
I
cruises.
know.
I don't know why.
I don't do
With
both.
my dad, with my grandma. She's getting old, so we want to spend some time with her.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, she's getting older. It's my grandma. I love
Hey,
my grandma.
Granny.
That's so
I know.
nice.
So we're going on a cruise, which I'm super excited.
That's
It's going to
gonna
be my
that should be
time
fun.
to
Decompress.
Yeah, you need it, sis. You need it.
Yes.
You haven't been on vacation in a while. You need
But
it.
I'm also stressing because I'm going to have my clients.
Girl,
you know,
I'm
business
with-
still going to
We're
be
here.
handled.
Okay.
But
Being on vacation now is a luxury, but it's like a very tumultuous time. Like I went
Yeah.
to Mexico a few weeks ago, and I'm like,
Right.
waiting up in the morning, like, is it in the contract? Is it doing this? Like,
right.
Yes, I can't even enjoy my vacations. Like,
Right. So that's why
Yeah,
I'm planning.
girl, bye.
You be on vacation every week.
And I
I
just
should go on
booked a
vacation
trip.
at 7 p.m. every night.
I just booked another trip.
Where are you going now?
Going to Punta Cana.
Oh,
Period. Because you know, me and Babe's birthday are right there, 10 days apart, both Capricorn.
okay.
So we're going to Punta Cana for our birthday.
I love
I
that.
love
Right
it.
before Christmas. Y'all know how I'm going to book a trip.
One thing about
Right.
you,
She's living
know.
life
we know.
She's vibing, chilling.
and
Doing
doing
what
what
needs
needs to
to
be
be
done.
Hey, y'all. But let's go ahead and pivot into today's episode because we got to talk to the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs always show us so much love, and we
see
love
y'all.
the entrepreneurs. We
Yeah,
are, you
we're
know, we are one.
entrepreneurs.
We are one.
We see each other.
Today we're going to be talking about how you guys can obtain home ownership. We kind of talked about it briefly. If you haven't already tuned into episode 6, take it back. We gave some lender tips, and we briefly spoke on it. But today we're going to go into depth on how our entrepreneurs can become homeowners.
Yes.
So
that's
first
needed.
of all, what classifies an entrepreneur from a regular W-2 employee?
It's very simple.
Yeah.
If you get paid and nobody is taking taxes out, you are an entrepreneur.
You are an entrepreneur.
That means if you own your own business or you work for a business and they kind of just letting you rock out as a consultant or an independent contractor, you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah, if you don't have a W-2, you're an entrepreneur.
Yep, we got that
Yeah.
1099. Right?
Yes,
1099.
1099.
Yep, 1099.
And that includes Uber, if you're doing DoorDash, if you're doing all of those services, you're an entrepreneur.
Where you
Bartending,
not getting no
serving.
taxes out, and you got to pay them back.
And it's a lot, too.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a lot.
Child.
Okay.
for real. So,
Welcome to the dark side.
Okay, welcome to the dark side. But no, seriously, let's go into the entrepreneur loan. Some people call it a bank statement loan. Entrepreneur loan has gotten popular because most people utilize it once they are business owners. But basically for the loan, what you need is 12 or 24 months worth of your bank statements. Literally, they just look at your bank statements, ideally from your business account.
Right.
Okay.
And something I wanted to mention really quickly is just that a lot of people have this misconception that it's a lot harder to get approved for a mortgage loan if you're not a W-2 employee. So the lenders have made basically a program catered to people who are entrepreneurs to make it easier for you guys to attain home ownership, because it can be a little bit more difficult when you don't have the same, tax documents that anyone else would have.
Right.
So.
Yeah, especially if your tax documents don't necessarily reflect, the income of your business. Let's be real. We're entrepreneurs. We have business expenses. Some of us more than others. But if you feel like your W-2 does not reflect what you make, that's why the bank statement loan is so good. What I love about it is that they're looking at your income, right? They're not necessarily looking at what's going out. So if you can show that you make $50,000 a month, I mean, if you spend $38,000, they don't care, but they see that you're making $50,000. So with those bank statements, they're going to take the average of all of like the income per month and then kind of average it over either the 12 or the 24 months to figure out, okay, what is your actual income?
And that's good to know, because it's so different from obviously a W-2 employee, because as business owners, every month is different. And there are some times where some businesses, depending on like what industry you're in, where it's seasonal, like you make more money in certain seasons than others. So it's really good that even if your income isn't consistent, they're still able to be flexible with you.
In addition to your bank statements, another requirement, the credit score.
Yes.
So usually, you can do a 580, 620, but with the bank statement loans, you will need a minimum of 640 to get approved for it.
And the reason that you do need a higher credit score is because when you're looking at it from like a mortgage lender standpoint, it's more of a risk, right? If they kind of have to test and see your likelihood of paying the loan back. So if you have a higher credit score, that just means that you're a little bit more credible in their eyes. That's how they see it.
Exactly.
And just on these loans, the interest rate is going to be at least 1% or 3% higher than the market rate, because because they have to literally bet on you and how you structure your business. So for my entrepreneur clients, where it kind of get risky is just, if you're not running your business like a business, meaning that you're not filing your tax returns, your business and your personal account is, you commingling your funds, you don't have like a set structure for your business, is automatically a red flag to them. Like, because you're cutting the check. So if you don't know how to handle your money, then it doesn't look really trustworthy to the lender.
Right. Yeah, to the point of interest rates, though, that's kind of where that 12 versus the 24 months comes in. I always push my clients who are utilizing this loan to do the 24 months or get as many as you possibly can, because the more you can show, the better interest rate you get. Right. So the interest rate you would get for showing 12 months bank statement is going to be a little bit higher than what you will get for 24 months, because you're able to show more consistent income with the longer amount of bank statements that you're able to provide.
And keep in mind also, to qualify, you do have to have your business for at least 2 years. So you can't like start your LLC or something last week and then be like, okay, I'm about to go and like qualify for a loan.
Right. It just has to been created in an official business 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Well, those are really all the requirements that they need.
Well, I think one other big thing we got to know is the down payment, right?
Oh,
so when
yes.
you're talking about
That's
a bank
big.
statement loan, with a regular conventional, you're looking at 3% at the low end, 5%, FHA 3.5%, but with the entrepreneur loan, it could be anywhere between 10 and 20%. I would say 20% is more prominent in the market. There are a couple people that will do the loan for that lower 15 or 10, but I think you have to have some really, really good income, super, super high credit. Like, you have to literally check every boxes and, of course, find a lender who's willing to, take that kind of risk.
Right.
Because not a lot of them do. I would say 20%. Just be prepared to pay that.
If you have your taxes and your taxes are filed like correctly, then they'll more willing to do the 10% down payment. Now, if you're doing the bank statement loan, because the entrepreneur loan requires the file for you to taxes, but the bank statement loan has, you don't need your tax returns, just your bank statements. That's going to be higher down payment.
So Absolutely. 2 different ones.
Yes.
Entrepreneur, bank statement. Bank statement is your bank statement. Entrepreneur, they will look at your taxes.
Yeah. Oh, and then with the bank statement loan, that's another thing. Because you're putting down the 20%, you don't have mortgage insurance.
Right.
So it immediately kind of, again, brings that monthly payment down. When you pay anything less than than 20%, you have that tacked on mortgage insurance, which I always see is about a couple $100. Just
it's not a lot.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the difference between
any savings count.
Hello,
for sure.
Every dollar happens.
And that's a good segue into the pros of using a bank statement loan. Is that no PMI or mortgage insurance that you would typically get on your regular, conventional loans or FHA loans. In addition to that, another pro with bank statement loans is a lower credit score doesn't necessarily disqualify you from getting approved for the loan, right?
Because I know, with certain loans, for a jumbo loan especially, you have to have that higher credit threshold, but I feel like having a 640, we're still kind of at that medium credit score. It's not anything super extensive or super expensive where you can't qualify if are in the mid-600s.
Right. You can qualify and you can get that loan.
As long as your business again is running like a business and they can prove that you're making that income, the credit score kind of comes second. Whereas the other loans, the credit score really matters.
And I want to make sure they understand. So that's they look at their personal credit, right, and not their actual business credit if they have that. Okay.
Yeah. Do they use it? Can they use that though as a business credit? Has anyone worked with anyone where they looked at the person's business credit versus
I haven't.
So
the person that I did the bank statement loan with, they use their personal credit, and they actually use their personal accounts for their income just because of the way they do it. So whatever you're putting your money into or whatever kind of shows your income in the best light, I would say is what you should utilize for the bank statement loan,
right?
Because you want to be qualified on that maximum level of income to get the highest purchase price,
right?
And another pro for it is the debt to income ratio. Usually what's your
line?
Keep it at 43.
But with the bank statement, it can go up to even 50%.
Yeah.
So that gives you a little bit more. You can have
segue.
A little bit more debt, but that gives you a little bit more room to qualify if you do have more debt than at that 43%.
That's great. I can't wait for Biden to get rid of my loans.
I'm screaming.
Has he done it yet? He's been
I heard they were mailing out checks, but anyway.
I heard that too. If they do that, them loans ain't getting forgiven on mine.
I'm paying mine.
No,
I'm paying mine.
I'm just playing.
No, I'm paying mine.
No, I'm ready to get it off. I'm playing.
But no, I think, and we kind of mentioned this a little bit, but I think one of the biggest things about this bank statement loan that is so great is that, again, if you have a business and you're a real entrepreneur, we get it, right? You have those tax write-offs, you have those deductions, you have those years that just aren't hitting for what, it's really hitting for. And that shouldn't disqualify you from a loan. I think we kind of talked about this earlier, but, if you made six figures and you had high deductions and now you're only being qualified on a $40,000 salary, that's going to look a lot different than if your bank statements show that you made six figures. So this loan is really for people who, are real business owners and real entrepreneurs, because that's
organized.
Right. And I feel like that is so unfair because as business owners, of course, we take advantage, if we can legally, take advantage of some of those deductions that we're able to use. So the fact that can hinder some entrepreneurs in terms of being able to get a home is crazy. So I'm glad that they have programs out there, for people like us.
For people that's definitely
true. And it all has to do with educating yourself on the process of running your business like a business and making sure that you have a counsel or someone that's kind of telling you hey, don't write this off instead, so it can look, especially I would say if you're looking to purchase soon, that's when you start putting all your ducks in a row. Start putting all your ducks in a row. Don't wait till the last minute because,
talk to the people that manage your money and do your accounting and say, hey, I'm looking to buy a house. Help me so that this can make it make sense. When you're ready to buy something, you need to have the documents that support that. So I love this loan, y'all. I think it really just helps. It helps us because I think entrepreneurs are asset heavy, right?
Yeah.
You can have 6-7 figures saved up and you might say, I don't want to work this year. Right. You don't have to, but now your taxes show you made $0 and that's what they're looking at. So I think it's a lot of different caveats to it, but there's a lot of things within this loan that help business owners.
And in the city of Atlanta, everybody's an entrepreneur. Everybody's a hustler.
Everybody
so it's definitely something.
Right.
It's definitely something that we need, but like anything that happens, while there are pros, there are also cons.
Yeah.
Like Nika mentioned earlier, the rates on these loans are going to be 1 to 3% higher than your standard loans, of course.
And that has to do with the debt to income ratio being a little higher at 50%. Is a higher risk. So it has to make sense for the lender as well.
Yeah, I think risk is the biggest thing, but I think the good thing about that is that even though it starts off high, you can refinance those loans.
Of course.
You can get your taxes in order and go conventional.
And then refinance
Exactly.
and get a better interest rate.
It's a good segue into home ownership, but you don't have to stay there with that super high interest rate. So if you want to buy a house, use the program, take the higher interest loan, and then do what you have to do after the fact to refinance, get the lower loan, and still qualify from your bank statements.
Yeah, and most entrepreneurs are usually cash heavy. Use that cash and buy down the
Okay,
rate if you
big
can.
Bring that money out.
You gotta pay to play.
Okay. I love saying it, but it's true.
Right.
But another con is, like we mentioned earlier, having to have that 2-year work history because you have to build that time. So now if you just started your business last month and you want to go that entrepreneur bank statement route, now you have to have that 2-year time period to have that business started. So it just take you a little bit longer than you maybe anticipate if you want to do it.
Yeah.
Even though we talked about like not having the mortgage insurance, I think it's important to note that 20%, that's kind of heavy, right?
Right.
You figure a $400,000 house, you went from 3% down, putting $12,000 down. Now we're talking about $80,000,
Right.
And especially if you are a newer business, and not everybody, because if y'all got it like that, then
Hey,
bring it
call
out.
me.
But I know a lot of newer businesses, you're getting your feet off the ground. You may not have $80,000 just sitting around to purchase a home, so it is kind of heavy. I think for more like experienced entrepreneurs or people who have been saving
It's
up
been building for a long
For a while,
time.
yeah.
because 20% is a really big ask.
That's a
if you're
lot
not
of
preparing
money.
for it.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money on top of your
know,
clothes,
everything
all
else,
other stuff.
right.
So
'Cause that still
keep in mind that
stands.
it's 20 plus something.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that it's really good for like experienced entrepreneurs because me, for instance, so of course, before I got into real estate, I was working in healthcare, and it was my goal when I was working in the healthcare field. I'm like, okay, I wanted to buy my first home in 2022. And then like due to COVID, a whole bunch of stuff, I ended up leaving my job and started my business. And I was almost at that 2-year mark with my business. And so once I got my business started, I had to start my 2 years over, basically. You get what I'm saying? Because I left my job. So you definitely have to figure out like if it's your goal to purchase, so let's say you are an entrepreneur and you have like a 9-to-5 job, do you want to just stick it out for 2 years, or not start over with another 2 years with
I
your
actually
business.
have a client, she's combining both. So there is a way where like you can combine both. Like if it's not enough just to go on the business income, you can combine your W-2 with your business job.
That's
That's what I did
perfect.
from when I purchased my house recently because I had a full-time
you can
job.
definitely combine both.
So that's good. There's flexibility out there.
Yeah.
I think entrepreneurs are the main people that have to understand. Like a lot of times, if you are, it's October now, right? If you wanted to buy a house in January, this is a great time. But for entrepreneurs, if you're thinking about buying a house in 2024, it's okay to be thinking about that stuff right now because you have to get a lot more ducks in a row.
Yes.
Sometimes people are like, oh, it's too early. But I feel like entrepreneurs, you have more to organize, more to get in line to be able to purchase. So start thinking about it early on so you're not playing catch up and, unable to buy
You need
a
to
house.
structure your business properly so that it'll be so much easier. Like you will save yourself so much stress if you just do it right.
Yeah, and find a tax person to actually not qualify, but actually personalize.
That can advise
that can
you.
advise you on this. That I have a tax person that strictly does entrepreneur taxes, so they know exactly how to work around it. Because a lot of people, they don't know, they're not very experienced with that, and they can write off, and that can hurt you too.
And I think that's a good segue into the point that like what we've really been talking about is the bank statement loan, and that loan really is geared towards people who don't have the taxes that accurately reflect their income. But if you are a business owner, you've been filing your taxes for 2 years, you can still apply for an entrepreneur loan with a regular like conventional loan product, right? 3% down or 5% down, just depending on the lender. Same requirements, the bank statements, just everything like a regular one is. But if you have the taxes, you're not privy to having to pay the 20% and higher interest rate. You can still get the same qualifying rates.
Right. Yep. So they're two different things. Keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah, because just to clarify that, because we did mention that real brief, but you do have that entrepreneur loan, which River just explained, and then the bank statement loan, which we've been talking majority about. But if you got any more questions on that, just hit us up on Real Talk Atlanta.
Talk in the comments.
I think that's a good segue into our question of the day. With who?
What's the question?
Oh, y'all not gonna say it for me?
Asking for
Y'all say it.
Ashley Lorraine.
Yes, so on to our favorite segment, the question of the day. This is when we take questions from you guys, our audience. You can submit your questions on Instagram at Real Talk Atlanta or send us an email at realtalkatlpod@gmail.com. And even if we've answered your question before in the past, like let us know, did it help you? Did it not? We want to hear your feedback, I hope it did, right? So today's question, somebody want to know, and this is kind of perfect for today's episode, but how do you guys structure your business? I know we've only been in the field. We're still pretty new, not like years and years in the industry, but how have you guys structured your business so far?
What do you mean structured it?
Well, for instance, like with loans, I know everyone has purchased a home this year. So how did you guys structure it so that you're able to get approved? Get your ducks in a row.
I can be completely candid about this. I didn't have business structure for majority of the first part of the year, right? I was still working full time for almost half of the year. So thankfully, my job pretty much was able to fund my ability to purchase a home. But it wasn't until after I was no longer working that I kind of realized, like, okay, I've been kind of, my real estate money been like a free-for-all. Just been kind of putting it here and putting it there. And then I no longer had that job anymore. So it made me say, like, okay, I need to figure out where am I putting this money, doing it separate. So I just think a couple things that I did that I hadn't before, of course, was opening a business account, right? Making sure my checks go to my business account, working with my brokerage so that my checks were written into my LLC so I don't get paid, you know, River Bonds. This goes to my LLC name so that I can properly file that and keep track of what my business is making, you know, starting business credit cards, just doing all those different kind of things. But I am slowly, as you can say, trying to structure my business as a business, but it's not easy. It's not
I feel like that's the hardest part for me about being a realtor and being an entrepreneur is really structuring that business and knowing that, hey, I have to take out this percentage out of my check for taxes and all of that thing. I think that's the hardest part about entrepreneur, and this is why not everyone is a business. You know, everyone wants to be a business owner. This is what separates the good with the greats, right? Yeah. And to be completely transparent, when I bought my home, I did also buy it with a W-2, but I'm also thinking about buying my second property, and I'm like, man, like this has to be for my real estate. And if I were to buy a second property right now of my real estate, I probably wouldn't qualify because it's not where it needs to be yet. Yeah. So yeah, my advice is actually just get someone to teach you the game, to get someone to counsel you, pay someone to teach you how to run your business like a business.
Because I'm sure most of us, we don't have a lot of people who we can reach out to who have done this before. Like, for instance, my parents have never had their own business. So they're not somebody I can ask, right? I have to find someone else, like a professional who's able to answer those questions and kind of guide me. So.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I also use my 9 to 5. I actually, when I decided I wanted to buy a house, I went back and got a job. I was a full-time entrepreneur.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I actually recommend that.
Yes. I was a full-time entrepreneur, but my lender was able to utilize, because you know you have to show that consistent work history.
Right.
Utilize that I work in the same industry that I have my degree in. My past jobs are all the same, so everything was consistent. So they're able to do that. And then I just use from the beginning, luckily I have had my business account, LLC, everything getting paid there. I was just able to utilize that as like additional assets that I had. So in addition to my, you know, my W-2, this is what I'm bringing in, but then this is an additional of what I have.
Yeah.
But it didn't even count toward my like income technically, which is like assets that I could pay up front type of thing.
I love that we all kind of like, I didn't even realize this, like we do so much work in real estate, but like we were all, I mean, some of y'all are still working full time, but we worked full time while managing full time.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Right. It's grind mode.
The bills don't stop, you know.
It's grind mode. If you're an entrepreneur and you feel like, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs just feel like they can't take that step back, but sometimes you have to.
Right. Yeah. It's the only way
to, like, just to get yourself in a better predicament than, because those commissions or that if you waiting for somebody to buy something or whatever, that's not promised. Like but if you have something consistent coming in, you just learn how to budget, save, put your money where it needs to be until you get to that place of, yes, now I can do 100%.
Now my business is structured.
Now my business is structured.
And I've asked one of my clients that's an entrepreneur, I asked her, like, you know, why you haven't been doing this? You have the LLC, you have the business account. Like, why not do it? She was like, oh my God, it's so hard. I just got lazy. Which I feel like is the most mindset. It takes time. Like, it takes the work.
We'll have to do an episode.
Structuring your business. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
It takes time,
And my piece of advice, last thing, is just to be really organized. I looked at my account last year and saw like all the money that I was like spending on my business just out of my personal account. And that's when I was like, whoa, I need to make a business, open up a business account, do everything like that. I have to learn how to not commingle funds. That was my biggest thing, because for when I had my 9 to 5, that was really what's the word I'm looking for? Like paying for my business.
Right.
That's what I was using for funding
business.
my business, marketing, and all that. So learning how to separate the two is really important.
It's necessary.
It's necessary for sure. We're definitely going to do an episode on just simply structuring your business to be successful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we not experts or
We're
pros, but we can tell y'all
give you a
what
little
we do along the way.
We can give you a little sauce, you know?
Right.
But we want to thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode, to every week's episode. We do appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are an entrepreneur and you're interested in learning more about the bank statement loan or the entrepreneur loan, feel free to reach out to any of us on Instagram. We will have our personal pages down below, as well as the Real Talk Atlanta. Of course, follow us on Instagram, Real Talk Atlanta. Send us emails at realtalkatlanta at gmail.com, and we will be sure to get you answer any more questions that you may have.
Yes.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
See you guys next week.
We'll see y'all next week.